Hi, and welcome into this cybersecurity update presented by the NMFTA. I'm Isaiah Buchanan. Cybersecurity threats are becoming more common in the logistics industry. That's why it's more important than ever to protect yourself from these attacks. Joining me today to talk about how you can protect yourself from cybersecurity attacks and the impact of those on your business is Antoine Banks, Director Enterprise at the NMFTA. Antoine, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you here, and let's go ahead and get right into things. Antoine, there are a couple of different kinds of cybersecurity. Could you break down the difference between enterprise cybersecurity and vehicle cybersecurity? Why are there two, and what are the vulnerabilities for each?
Okay, so enterprise cybersecurity is normally your back office, your main business where your employees work. You have your servers, your laptops, your desktops, where people doing their everyday business. And then on your fleet security, that's where you have your telematic systems, your CAN networks, your connectors, your fleets in the warehouse, those maintenance systems. So we normally keep it separate because it kind of relies on two different types of skill sets, and the equipment is totally different.
And Antoine, why is enterprise cybersecurity more important to the fleet?
Well, if you understand how hackers work, once a hacker get a foothold in the enterprise, and more than likely that will be the place that they would gain entry. They're going to hide, they're going to blend in, and then they're going to hop around until they find a system that is trusted by the fleet network. And so they're going to take advantage of that trust relationship to jump from the enterprise network over to the fleet network. And then that way they can, if they're trying to encrypt with ransomware, they can deliver the payload for the ransomware to the fleet side. Or if they're trying to stop a truck or slow down a truck, they can, execute their malicious activities. So the main reason is because of the interconnectivity between the two networks and the trust relationships, they have to be concerned about what happens on the enterprise, because a hacker is going to pivot and take advantage of a trust relationship to get to that fleet network.
You talked about that interconnectivity. Is it possible for a hacker to exploit the enterprise network and move that over to the fleet network or the vehicle network?
Exactly. Right now, there's no known attacks, but if you understand how hackers work, the number one thing they want to do is they want to pivot, they want to gain persistence, blend in and stay in your network, but they're going to hop around and take advantage of a trusted relationship. So if there's a system on the enterprise network that is trying to pull data from that trucking network, logs or whatever, it is going to try to a hacker is going to try to take advantage of that trust relationship to hop over to that fleet network.
So if a company were to suffer a cybersecurity breach, how much are you thinking it would cost them?
Now, there's a study called the Verizon Breach Report, and they update it every year. And normally they will lay it out. Well, not normally, they lay it out per data record. And so this year they're saying that the average cost of one record is $164. So it depends on how much data a company is holding, how much they're dependent on those systems to make money. So if they're holding a database with 100,000 credit cards or 100,000 records, they're going to have to pay $164 times that 100,000. That's just to stop the bleeding. That's to pay people to come in to repair those systems. That's to pay credit card monitoring, to notify the person that they've been hacked. And then after they pay that 164 times how many records they have, then you're going to have a lawsuit. And almost all breaches end in a lawsuit. And on average, those lawsuits are upwards of $10 million per company, just to get back on your feet. Not to mention how much business you may lose because of loss of brand recognition, or people just falling out of favor and don't trust you anymore. So it's a lot of money. On average, it's about $10 million on average.
Antoine, that is quite a chunk of change. It sounds like people should be proactive in making sure they're getting out in front of these attacks to prevent them from having to spend such a large amount of money. Going into the next question, how can our members learn more about cybersecurity and what resources are available?
Well, first they can come to our website. We have a tab, cybersecurity tab, that has an abundance of resources from TSA, CISA, Homeland Security, some best business practices that we published. And then they can also come to our conference. We're holding a digital solutions conference in Houston in October. They can come and hear directly from the Homeland Security, the FBI, the Secret Service. We're going to have Microsoft there. So we're going to bring in some heavy hitters to talk about the latest trends on cybersecurity. We're also going to have a panel to talk about lessons learned from 2023 and some things to expect in the 2024. So I will start off with our website and come into our conference.
Antoine, in your opinion, what are the top cybersecurity threats to our industry?
The top threats, I would say, one is the user awareness. Users are the weakest link. A company can spend tens of millions of dollars on the latest and greatest cybersecurity equipment, but if that user is social engineered and click on a phishing email, then they're going to bypass all that security. And phishing is the number one way hackers get in. So user training is the one of the number one things they can do. They need to patch. Once they get into that system, the hacker is looking for a unpatched vulnerability on that network. And once they can find it, that unpatched vulnerability, then they're going to exploit it, get into the system, and then hop around to other systems that don't have that patch or that are unpatched. And the last thing is they need to make sure that they are monitoring their network, proactively monitoring if possible, because the last way you want to find out that your network has been hacked is when it's been locked and encrypted. You want to have some type of monitoring in place that would allow you to see when an outside person is doing things that they shouldn't do, that should alarm you that something funny is going on, and then you have somebody to investigate. So user awareness training, patching, and then active monitoring, proactive monitoring.
This next question is probably the one that all of our viewers want to know the answer to, and you've kind of hit on it already. What are the two most important things our members should be doing right now to protect their networks?
Two things they should be doing, again, is training their users and patching all of the systems that are feasible. Some systems you can't patch because they're old and outdated, and if you patch them, they'll break. But if you can't patch them, put in what we call compensating controls to protect them or to have extra eyes on them. Training your users and patching.
Antoine, last question for you. Why asset and enterprise?
Asset and enterprise. So two different types of equipment. On the enterprise side, you have your laptops, your servers, your web servers, your everyday office equipment. And on the on the fleet side, you have your CAN networks, you have your telematics, your maintenance equipment. So different type of skills, different type of equipment, different type of employee working on each set. And it's easier to keep it separate, but every day that's starting to merge, it's starting to converge because of the interconnectivity. So today we're talking two separate networks, separate skills, but in a couple of years, it's all going to be one network, one skill.
Antoine, thank you for joining me today and updating our viewers on how to be proactive against cybersecurity attacks and the risks that can come from those for a company.
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it.
Thanks again. This has been a cybersecurity update presented by the NMFTA. You can find this talk and others with the NMFTA on our YouTube page. That's youtube.com/FreightWaves.